Good day. This is Jamie Seamans with Garage Kings, and today I wanted to show you a countertop. Um, so this is one that a lot more people are getting into, is epoxy countertops and that sort of thing. So I figured I'd show you a video on how to do one. So I just mixed up the product. That bar there is about 26 feet long, and I just mixed up my product and have everything maxed off. So I'm just pouring it all out. As you can see already, the reflection of some of the stuff on the wall, which is neat. And then I'm using a magic trowel to spread out my material. Now you can see the image of the mask in the countertop, how it's all rippled. Watch it, and in a little bit that will go back to a mirror image. A huge thing whenever you're working with coatings or epoxy is knowing your times. Everything has a certain time when it sets up or when you can manipulate it and everything else. So if you're going to use solvents or anything else to create effects, you need to know the right timing. All products are a little bit different. Some of the products I've worked with, you got to do it 15 minutes after you pour it out like that. Others, you got to wait 30 minutes. Some of them are over an hour. It just depends. Temperature is a huge factor in all that stuff. Now you can see that I'm using a foam brush. You should never use a chip brush for countertops because you could get the hairs of that into the counter. And with countertops, you're going to see everything, right? The human eye is only 12 inches away from it. So it's got to be perfect. Unlike a floor where you have 4 feet away, you can get away with a little bit more, and a chip brush is more than acceptable for a floor. But when you're doing countertops, you should always be using foam brushes to spread out your material. The edges are always a key aspect of countertops whenever you're doing them, just to make sure that you get the right flow over the edge and that there's no dry spots. So right now I'm just meticulously checking over the counter, making sure that there's no little clumps of color in the top coat or anything like that. There are two main types of coloring. There's the liquids and then there's the powders. People ask me all the time which one I like better. I do prefer powders, but there's certain times that I do like using the liquid forms better. So now you can see that mask is pretty much a perfect mirror image again. It's really amazing the self-leveling properties of epoxy. It's just unbelievable how well it will heal itself, basically. But because of that, that's why it isn't very good for verticals. You know, you can do 3 to 4 inches. The key with that is you have to babysit them and go to the point where they're squeaking. So they're fixing up the front and the sides. But typically that's about an hour, you know, just doing the sides to minimize the runs. Another thing that will happen a lot with countertops are the drips that happen on the bottom edge. You can't file those off completely because that's going to hurt the integrity of the countertop. If you wait a few hours after you've done your countertop and then come back and slice it, then you'll get most of it off, because if you just leave it as it is, dealing with the drips the next day isn't fun. So this is the first coat. The nice thing about using a epoxy for a countertop, especially in a restaurant like this, is there's no seams in the bar, right? This is 26 feet with no seams in it, which is definitely a huge aspect. As you can see on the ground, everything's masked off. You got to be really meticulous on how you mask everything off around your work area. because you don't want to get those drips on anything and be taking a razor blade and cleaning that up the next day. And if you have any tape that's up close to the coating, you need to pull that too. So you don't want to get your blue tape or any other tape stuck in the coating. For those of you that haven't done it yet, please subscribe to this channel and also leave comments and see what other videos you'd like me to post or make on coatings, and also check out our Facebook page and like that as well. Our websites are also garagekingsusa.com and garagekings.ca. I actually started 5 years ago doing countertops. That's how I got into the coating industry. Was we started with countertops, and I did that for about 2 to 3 years, and then after that is when we got into flooring, and that's truly when we started kind of Garage Kings. One thing I like to do a lot is keep my designs pretty simple. The reason for that is I see so many people now making sample boards that are so detailed and looks like they took them hours to make. And if you're trying to replicate that on a large surface, then that's going to take you a lot of time. Not to mention, it'll be difficult to replicate. Just because, this industry is really neat and really cool and it's limitless doesn't mean that you should always be testing the boundaries with your customers. Remember, they haven't seen any of this stuff before. So a lot of the times you can do simple metallics or two tones and that sort of thing, and you're going to give them an amazing result. Just because you get bored of it doesn't mean the customers are, right? For most of them, this is their first time seeing it. So I think it's a good idea to, a lot of the times, keep it minimalistic. There I am, babysitting the edges some more. Again, like I said, this usually takes about an hour of every 10 minutes or so going over them, just to keep those runs from showing up in your final coat. In this sports bar, we also did the bathrooms, a nice glitter floor. We did the walk-in cooler, a nice gray epoxy floor, and then the main kitchen itself with cove edges. And that's a big reason I like the flooring a lot, is because there's so much more square footage involved and that sort of thing. Whereas, countertops, there's not a lot of square footage to them, right? That's 26 feet long and however wide, so it's nice for an upgrade kind of thing to get the countertop in, but a lot of the times I don't feel that it's a good idea to make that your main source of income if this is something that you're looking to get into. Flaming the countertop. This place is a little dusty, and when you're doing countertops, typically you got to flame it at the right time just to help take out the air bubbles. You don't necessarily have to do it. The flame itself shouldn't be directed right at the epoxy itself. It's the carbon dioxide that's actually popping the bubbles. So just a quick flame. That heat will also help level it out a little bit more and let it set up a little bit quicker as well. So that's it for that coat.